読み直しているで読み直しているだけがで読み直しているで読み直しているで読み直しているで読み直しているで読み直しているエキスしたいとで読み直しているで読み直しているだけがで読み直している
city of people who aren't afraid to get their hands dirty. A city of makers, entrepreneurs, musicians, artists. A city of laughter, memories, and people who will welcome others in with a cup of heartwarming handmade coffee. A city of people, young and old, working together. People who explore, live, and grow together. But what makes this place special? Being listed year after year as one of the best places to raise a family. Maybe because we have a community recognized for its safe neighborhoods and revered for its low unemployment. A city where adventure is everywhere you look, where you can pioneer your own story. we've opened a new page to write on for the generations ahead. Welcome to Bismarck. Come write your story.
Ooh, good morning, 1 million cups. I am winded. I did not realize it was 9 o'clock and I was upstairs. So just give me a minute. Oh man, a couple of things before we get started. Adam, I found your birthday tiara on the floor, so if you want to come and grab that later. Don't want you to miss out. Also, I wore my short pants today to celebrate the temperate weather that we're having here in North Dakota, so how about that? Anyway, thank you. I digress. So, let's get checked in. Anybody new here in the audience today? First-timers? Great. Good. Welcome. We'll hear from you a little bit later, but if you are new, even if you're joining us online today, we ask that you download this app from the Google Play Store or the App Store and get checked in. This helps us track our audience attendance, and it helps us report back to Kauffman Foundation as well. Next up, we want to thank our sponsors. These folks help us keep the lights on and keep this space rented here. We don't have a lot of expenses, but we are grateful for either their in-kind donations or their monetary donations as well. So if you see these folks, say thank you, because they're helping us keep our entrepreneurial ecosystem alive and thriving. Okay, what is 1 Million Cups? So each week, it's a free weekly program that gives local businesses the opportunity to pitch their idea and engage with the community to get feedback. We ask the question, I think that's the next slide, can we change the face of our startup community over 1 million cups of coffee? And I think the answer is yes, and we are giving it a go here every single week. Okay, so if you have questions, we are live streaming obviously on Facebook and YouTube, so if you want to check us out on our YouTube channel, hit that up. If you have a question near the end, use hashtag 1MCND either on Twitter, or you can drop your question in the comment section of our Facebook live stream, and Kirsten will get that asked here for you in the audience. Likewise, if you're in the audience and maybe you're mic shy or you don't want to handle the microphone, you can do that as well. Just hit us up on Twitter or Facebook, and Kirsten can ask your question for you. Our live job board is something that we do the first Wednesday of every month, and February flew by, so that's already next week. So if you or someone you know in your organization has job openings, feel free to get in touch with us through Facebook Messenger, or if you know us personally, send us an email, and we can get your job posted on the job board and help you get those spots filled. Okay, community announcements. We have actually a bunch today, which is nice to see the community getting active again. First up, Tyler DeMars.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tyler. I am with CTB at the Idea Center and part of our 1 Million Cups organizing team here. With things trending in a positive direction COVID-wise, we decided it's time to start getting some networking activities and events organized. So partial disclosure, we're doing Last Lunch Wednesday, or Last Wednesday Lunch, whichever your preferred flavor of alliteration is there. But part of the reason we're doing this is just because the hot lunch bar at the co-op is really awesome, and we want an excuse to go have lunch there more often. But every last Wednesday of the month, we'll be in the co-op community room, inviting our 1 Million Cups audience in to join us for lunch. We might have a past speaker or two to give an update. We might have a sponsor there to give an update. But if for our live stream audience, if it's hard for you to get here Wednesday morning and you want another opportunity to connect with your 1 Million Cups community, please join us. Put it on your calendar every last Wednesday of the month in the co-op community room. Hope to see you there.
Thanks, Tyler. I really hope that we have past speakers show up and present. Otherwise, we're going to be subjected to Tyler's dad jokes. I don't think we're ready for that.
Really good.
That's debatable. Okay, rapid COVID-19 screening locations. Check out the map if there's one near you and you want to go get tested quickly. Here's the place to do it. And the Hospitality Economic Resiliency Grant is entering round 2. If you're interested in something like that, you can talk to me or Tyler. We both can help you with that, or somebody else in the audience might know more. Otherwise, check out ndresponse.gov for more information on the HERG. Ooh, okay, so this is me. Leading Ladies Luncheon is coming up March 25th. We are honoring 5 women. You can see their pictures there. I'll wait to announce them on social media, so I'm not going to give their names away. But if you recognize them, celebrate them with us. And additionally, the next day, March 26th, we're doing a networking happy hour at the Paddle Trap. We'll provide the appetizers, you provide the drinks, and we're just going to get together, reconnect, and have a great time. Ashton.
Hey everyone, I'm Ashton from Makewell, and I just wanted to invite you to our 5th annual event on March 6th. It's at Co Studio in downtown Bismarck, so we're super close. Our theme this year is unpredictable, and we have speakers like Jesse Veter, who's going to share how she kicked cancer. We have Nikki Barrow, who's going to share how he lives and works in the Badlands and experiences unpredictable weather and all sorts of circumstances, and so it's going to be a really encouraging and motivating event. We do have, I think, just a few in-person tickets left and then online tickets as well. So we'd love to have you join us. If you have any questions, just let me know.
Thank you. Yeah, Jessie Veter is a past TEDx speaker. She was early on in our TEDx journey, and Nick has actually been on stage here with us. He spoke during the Main Street Initiative conference a couple years ago. I've got my tickets, so I hope to see you there. Janelle, welcome back to 1MC.
Hey, you guys. Good morning. My name is Janelle, and I am so excited to be back here. Thank you, Lakin. Earlier this week, Christy Tavine and I announced that we are launching Love Always Floral in Bismarck. Love Always Floral is a design studio based in downtown Fargo that Christy founded about 5 years ago, and she has been serving the Fargo capacity through floral design in a really incredible capacity over the last 5 years. And Christy and I actually were introduced through her husband, Greg, at a Makewell retreat. So I'll plug the Makewell retreat. There's an upcoming, have tickets launched, Ashton, for the Makewell retreat? They have launched. Okay, you never know who you're going to collide with and how your life will change for the better at events like that. So Christy and I met at the retreat a couple years ago and have stayed in contact. And we're launching in Bismarck next month. So we are open for deliveries March 8th, and if you know any brides, if you know any grooms, if you know anybody that's tying the knot 2021 or 2022, we will also start taking corporate events and booking weddings. So super excited to have a floral design studio here in Bismarck and to continue her mission of spreading joy and love in this community. So Lakin, we do have a couple arrangements. I'll let you handle those giveaways, but find us on social at Love Always Floral or online, lovealwaysfloral.com. Thanks, guys.
Congratulations, Janelle. That's exciting. She did mention that we've got a couple of arrangements up here to give away and spread some love here. So we're going to do the usual. Why did you come to 1 Million Cups today? What do you hope to get out of the program? Or what are you excited for? That's 3 questions. Now you have options on which to answer. So don't everybody come at once. I'm going to stand here until someone commits. Anybody? There's movement.
Okay, besides getting some encouragement and loving flowers, I will kind of do a multiple plug here. I am here today. 1, I'm excited to hear the speakers, and 2, I wanted to talk about Hunter Smile, who is a young man who died just short of his 17th birthday, and we are giving away free orthodontic care to select individuals who are nominated, who not only have his same happy lifestyle, but people who are in need of those services. So you can nominate someone on Hall of It Orthodontics Facebook page, and I think that this is a really special topic today because it talks a lot about how to prepare for someone's loss. So I'm here today to learn about that and to also let you guys know you can nominate someone special.
Thank you, Cody. We'll get you your arrangement on your way out, okay? There's 1 left. If not, I get it by default, so maybe we should just move on. Okay, it's fine. You guys can just sit still. It's great. All right, so let's move on then. 1 Million Cups, 1MCND. We are here today with a couple of incredible presenters. I'm looking forward to both of these. Without further ado, I'm going to start with Mike Connelly and B.L.I.N.K. and then he will kick off our second speaker. So Mike, will you join me up here? I'll give you that.
Thank you. My name is Mike Connelly, and I'm going to introduce to you a new agency called B.L.I.N.K. Our basic premise is that every person and their families deserve high-quality care in their home environments in order for them to maintain connections with both their family, loved ones, friends, as well as thrive to the best of their ability every day. What we are is we're currently a private pay agency, and private pay quality service provider agency. And let me define that a little bit. We're real similar to what home health care is, but that implies nursing services, and we don't have the credentials for that. Quality service provider agency is, we focus on helping people that have lost their ability to maintain activities of daily living. That includes things like bathroom hygiene, cooking, cleaning. Some of the things that are natural to us every day is not afforded to people that have been in accidents or born with a disability or have age declining challenges. And what we do is that we come in and we can engage people at that level, help them accomplish those things to the best of their ability each and every day so that families can engage their loved ones and be family, be friends with those folks. I've been doing this as a traveling CNA for years. I've been to 71 different facilities in 4 states and cared for a lot of people in a lot of different venues. The facilities that I go to, they provide quality care, but there's some things they're not able to do. And those glaring holes that provide that quality is best found in a home environment where a person has lived most of their lives or all of their life. And if we can maintain them in that environment all the way up until their last days, that's a very special thing, and that's what we do. One of the challenges with this is that there's a continuum of care. Right now, as a private pay, we would be able to do that for family members, and but there comes a point to where people's assets get down so much that they would not be able to afford that anymore. So at some point in time, we're going through the process to be registered as a state agency as well. And what that would afford us to do is then we could accept Medicare and Medicaid. So then that continuum of care could be seamless. Right now, we can't do that, so when they get to the point where they would need that type of service through Medicare or Medicaid, we would have to refer them to another provider or a nursing home or another health agency. And we don't want to do that, especially if we've developed a connection and a good relationship with people. They deserve to be afforded that opportunity as long as we can make it possible. One of the other things that home environments provide, this pandemic has been hard. It's taken a lot away from the quality of life in order to preserve the quality of life. And it's been very difficult in a lot of ways that are hard to explain beyond this point. I'm just going to switch a slide here for a second as I explain that. This gal here is somebody that's gone through that, and they have a connection that is unbelievable in their long-lasting marriage. And March of last year, she was told, you can't see him. He does not have the ability to communicate through electronic devices or windows or those type of things. And all of a sudden, here you got people connected that can't be connected anymore. That's where facilities lose some of that opportunity. Defining difference in a home health care setting, we can keep that connection, we can keep people safe, and we can work with them on an individual basis to help them thrive in a way that no other place is allowing them to function. And that's what we will do at B.L.I.N.K. It's highly individual. I can go off in tangents and tell you story upon story and upon story. But for each person that we engage with, their story is what's important. And we plan to provide that high quality care each and every day. Another challenge for us is that we need to get to the point where we have enough clientele to where we can also take care of employees that depend on a weekly income. And that's very important because, or as an example, a person here in town that recently passed owns support systems. His name is Don Wald. He told me something years ago, and it says that a care agency can be as large or as small as it wants, as long as it follows through on the promises they offer to their clientele and employees. And those are one of the things that we need to accomplish in order to be successful. At this point, if anybody has any questions, they can talk to me here. I'll be at the luncheon at the co-op, which is a gem in our community. I also have cards up front, and you can call me when it's convenient for you. I'm also going to be introducing our next speaker. I've had the opportunity to attend one of her presentations, and there is an honor and cherished moments in celebrating the life of a person even after they've passed. And those are the opportunities that the end-of-life doula can discuss further. So I would like to introduce Colette.
I did. There we go. Just wasted a minute there, didn't I? I am Colette, and I am Bismarck's end-of-life doula. I am also a certified hospice and palliative care nurse for many years, and I am also a help-out nurse for CHI, St. Alexis Hospice and Palliative Care. My story begins as a young nurse starting out in critical care. And in that unit, I found that we had a lot of patients with advanced illnesses and terminal conditions. And what I found in taking care of these people is that many of them were unprepared for end-of-life care. There was no end-of-life conversations with their families. They had not talked about what their wishes would be at end of life. And many did not have any type of advance directive. So when a crisis happens to these people, families are left to make those decisions for them. And those decisions can really tear families apart. Some families want to do everything possible to keep someone going, and some families just want to keep them comfortable and take them home. Another aspect of this story is a lack of transparency. Many physicians were not trained to have these type of conversations with their patients. And they were just very comfortable with people who didn't ask questions. And so that always increases the fear of the patient and families because they don't know what's really going on. They have no idea that maybe their life is coming to a close. And so that's just kind of the story of that. The other thing is that with advances in medicine and technology, it has created a false sense of hope for a lot of us. We can often keep patients to live longer with this type of advance in medicine, but that doesn't mean that their quality of life is going to improve. Oftentimes, it is at the cost of their quality of life. And I've always said, just because you can doesn't mean you should. So then I fell into the hospice career path, and that is a focus on keeping people comfortable at the end of their life. But it's still very difficult to get people there. Then I found and discovered this social movement just only a couple years ago. This social movement is called the death positive culture. And really all it is reclaiming community-centered care for people who are dying and people who are bereaved. And the end-of-life doula is only a small part of that. There are other activities out there that are going on, trying to draw people's attention to the issues and get people prepared, such as death cafes, and I've had a few of those here in the community. Death over dinner, also games. A game that I have is called Death Deck. And really, it's just a fun way to engage your family in talking about their end-of-life wishes without being really intimidating for them, because it is a difficult conversation to have. So my mission is guiding and supporting individuals with advanced illness and end-of-life needs. Also, the second fold of that is I want to be engaging communities and conversations to lessen our fears of death and improve our approach to death. The end-of-life doula role really came out of the unmet needs of people at end of life. And this role was actually created by hospice people who worked in the industry. So some of those unmet needs are just that meaning and legacy of someone's life has been unexplored. Also, those feelings of feeling unprepared and afraid. Also, caregiver exhaustion is a huge piece of that. I just want to describe this picture a little bit. Up here in the corner is a patient, and that's how many of us die. We die hooked up to machines, ventilators, IVs, catheters. And down here is someone who is dying the way they wanted to die, at home, with their family next to them, reading, holding their hands, playing their favorite music. And the research shows that most of us do want to be able to die at home and to be able to die comfortably. Part of one of the components of the end-of-life doula role is really exploring that person's legacy. And what we do is a structured process called life review, and it's really exploring their past to identify what the purpose and meaning of their life was. We look at their strengths and what their passions in life were. We also look at regrets and see if there's any way we can resolve that. And this just basically provides a greater sense of completion to our life. And then that can translate, if the patient wants, into a legacy project. And that's just a tangible gift, big or small, something that you can leave behind for your family to remember you and to inspire your family for the future. As you see, I do have a lot of slides and pictures. I always say pictures speak, as we all know, 1,000 words. Another component is vigil planning. We develop a plan with the family and loved one to see how they want their last days to look. So we incorporate whatever elements would make them comfortable during those days, and also any rituals for that dying process and at the moment of death. as that time unfolds, we just create a space for reflection, laughter, tears, stories, and connections, and celebrations even. This picture, I love it because this was a veteran who said that when he dies, he wants to be wrapped up, he wants his body wrapped up in the American flag, a torn and tattered American flag, just as he was at the time of death. And that picture is by Abigail Ogle. The last component that I want to speak about is reprocessing and early grief. And it's just basically retelling the dying story. I meet with a family and we go over what happened in those days. And we talk about the special moments that occurred and special memories. We also summarize their accomplishments in caring for their loved ones. What a gift. And at this time, we can also continue to work on their legacy project if that's not been completed. So basically, my goals for this is just increasing the use of my role as an end-of-life doula for clients with advanced illness and terminal conditions. And also, I enjoy providing community education to help us prepare for death, to support those who are dying, and just to promote the awareness of death care options that are out there. And if not for ourselves, but for someone we love and who we know is not going to be with us soon. Many of us in here are part of that, what they call the silver tsunami. I don't know, has anybody heard of that before? Basically, it's all of us boomers out there, and we're aging. And these days are something we need to think about and plan for. Some of the challenges, however, is that we have distanced ourselves from death. We have created a sanitized death. We have people who die in the nursing home. We have people who die in the hospital a lot. And so they're far and detached from us. And then at the time of death, the funeral home comes in and whisks the body away. And if you're having a cremation, which many people do, you never see that person again. And so we've distanced ourselves from death. And that's what has really created a lot of the fear that we have around death. And I like to say that, maybe we shouldn't be fearing death so much as realizing that death is really one of our greatest teachers. The other thing is nobody wants to talk about it. They think it's ghoulish, or I've even had some people saying I'm trying to promote death. That's not the case. The case is I'm trying to help you live. Death informs life. Also, we're a death-denying culture. We focus on our living in the day-to-day, and we all think that we have time. So those are a lot of my challenges. This is my contact information. I have a Facebook page. There's my phone number and my email. And also, I can be contacted at CHI, Health at Home and Hospice. And that's all I got for you. If you have questions, let me know.
Okay, thank you very much. You can have a seat in one of those chairs over there. We'll get started with questions. Mike's going to make his way up.
First, we need to all take a breath.
Your mic's not. Turn your mic on.
Oh, it is on. There, now it's really on. Yeah, Tyler's on the board there. I think he's shutting me off. Wow, pretty heavy topic this morning. So, okay, questions. I have the mic.
Yeah, okay. So like Evan said, he's going to be our mic runner today. Again, drop your questions in the chat of the live stream if you've got them. If not, I've got a couple here for you. Let me just reference my notes. for both of you, and you might have touched on this a little bit, but I'm curious how both of your services would interface with conventional healthcare or hospice. So, Mike, do you want to start?
Yeah. When it comes to conventional care or hospice care or anything, is that they're all interconnected. And each experience is going to be different, and a lot of experiences are going to be similar. So depending on where a person comes from and their experience and their level, we do an assessment. We assess where they're at, and we can maximize everything that's available to them by creating the relationship that best suits them. And for all of the other things that might be available to them, if we can increase the quality of care, we'll certainly explore that. At the same time, with so much available out there, we're not going to reach for things that just create busyness in their life. Sometimes it's just a matter of simplicity. I've had the fortunate opportunity to work with CHI Hospice in a home setting, and we complemented each other with our skill sets, and that allowed that individual a high quality of life. Their anticipated life was only supposed to be in that 90-day range, and they lived 16 months. The family engagement, the experiences, the cool things during that time was amazing. And through the work that I do, it was a gift that I was to be present as a caregiver through that process.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing. Is a lot of times private care is, paid care is still needed, even if you have home health care services, even if you have hospice services. And as far as the role of the end-of-life doula, I complement hospice or even palliative care. What I do is I reinforce a lot of the teaching because of my background as a nurse and also my background in hospice for so many years. I know what to look for. I know what to teach the patient and the family as far as what's happening. And I also work on gaps. Hospice can't be there 24/7. I'm not saying that I can either. But what I do is I do fill in that social, emotional, and spiritual needs. I also, as the activities I talked about, usually aren't covered in hospice care. So I really fill in the gaps that occurs with that. And sometimes there's even overlap, which is fine.
Thank you. We've got a question in the audience.
Hello. Yeah, we've got some really good questions from social media. So Amanda asks, do these services apply to children with critical illnesses, or do you only focus on adults?
Absolutely. We have an entire lifespan that needs to be respected. And if we're able to provide the services based on their resources, we will take care of the youngest to the oldest. And if we can't provide the service, or we can provide part of the service for a time, we're going to try to maximize what that client needs, whether it be within our umbrella or referring them to other options that can provide that opportunity for them. I have a friend, and it's not a paid basis by any means, but he has a child that is now in his 20s, but even from birth, we met with them, we cared for them, allowed them the opportunity for vacations. We have the skill set to meet a lot of people's needs out there. It's just a matter of them contacting us, and we can go through that growth pattern to see if we are a fit.
And yes, most definitely. I have taken care of infants, children. So I would say, definitely that is something that we can provide.
Thank you. Kate wants to know, Colette, can you share any examples of legacy projects that you have built for families in Bismarck?
I was thinking about this before I came here, and there's so many stories. I think one I recall a situation where mom who had terminal cancer in her 50s maybe, and she had a few grandchildren who meant the world to her. And we talked about spreading her knowledge and wisdom and skills onto her grandchildren before she died. So I remember she had this favorite cultural recipe that they only made at Christmas. And I said, that would be a wonderful idea, you know. Take that time at Christmas and before Christmas and teach your grandchildren the recipe and teach them how to do that. I've also seen one family where, you know, we compiled all the recipes for the family of her favorite recipes. Also, one lady created like a jewelry box, and she gave her some pieces to her children, and each child got this jewelry box. I had one who created letters to her grandchildren that they would open upon graduation. I have one family who did fingerprint necklaces. We arranged it with the funeral home so that they got the fingerprint of the deceased, and they all got necklaces that they wear all the time. So, I mean, you know, the ideas never end. It's as individual as the person is.
Those are beautiful stories. Thank you. Kara wants to know, Mike, can you talk about the biblical part of the name B.L.I.N.K? What does it mean for the services that you provide?
That's a good question. When it comes to spiritual or biblically based stuff, it's highly individual to the person. So I would liken it to one story that can kind of define the heart of it a little bit. And then if people want to talk to me on a personal basis, they're more than welcome to contact me. At certain points, what we can provide on a care level and a medical level, they don't transcend what the spiritual aspect can provide. I was fortunate to care for a family to where the dad of the family ended up with a form of cancer that was on medications for comfort. And the family, the kids, thought that that took too much of who he was away. And they grieved over that process significantly, so much so that when their mom, a couple of years later, ended up with a very painful, one of the most excruciating forms of cancer possible, the kids would absolutely not allow any medication possible because they didn't want to lose their mom in the same fashion that they lost their father. So the medical professionals in the area, I asked if I could, during my downtime, go in and pray within what their faith choice was, pray and sing songs to them. And that was the only time during the day that that person didn't scream 24 hours a day. So much so that they staffed another person so I could go in there and spend more time with them. And that's something to where both elements can complement each other so that they can thrive. And that's a very important thing.
Thank you. Got a question in the back.
Hi, this is for both presenters. I was wondering, you mentioned that you're trying to be covered under Medicare at some point. What's your guys' interaction with long-term care insurance?
Every policy within long-term care has changed over time. Policies from, say, 15 years ago, at that time, they might offer a benefit that was right for that time that doesn't segue into some of those costs and things today. And they all have individual stipulations. Some of them have riders, some of them don't. So it's just a matter of plans. Once you have the credentialing of, say, your insurance numbers, then for the ones that are appropriate, that apply to you, you can certainly use that benefit. There are several plans out there that don't afford you that same opportunity. So I'll give you an example. I used to work for Aetna Insurance. They had 600 plans, and each one of them did different things and similar things. So those benefits, we're going to take all of them, assess them appropriately, and we're going to help them maximize those things that they acquired in order to cover their risk in whatever situation they find themselves at that time.
As far as coverage for end-of-life doula, I have not really explored that aspect of it. Right now, people private pay, or like with the hospice I work with, I get to work with those clients if they opt for that.
Question in the front, Janya.
This is terrible. I'm going to get all entrepreneurially, like businessy on you too. So I think you're both a team of one or two. Do you have plans? Would you scale?
That can be covered with the end-of-life doula is what we call vigil care, as I talked about, when the person is actually in that dying process, to provide respite for that patient's family. And one person can't do that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, if that's how long it takes. So I would like to see that happen. Someone I can work with and partner with. Also, I just really want to engage with the community in terms of what they're comfortable with and what they can bring to the table, so that can be another death care option for the patient, such as threshold choirs. These are choirs that come together and they sing to the patient at the bedside. So, I mean, there's so many aspects that can be covered with that.
Well, kind of like what I said in my last statement in referencing what Don Wald taught me in the 90s is I have to respect that we can be as big or as small as we want. There are so many companies out there that started out extremely special, and then they got in their own way by becoming too big, offering too much, and the whole castle fell, so to speak. So it's holding a high regard for what our purpose and what our mission is. If we do that, success will breed upon itself, and the size will take care of itself as well. And it allows you flexibility based on the environment, because insurance has changed, care changes. I mean, look at our pandemic. We could have a room here completely full of people, and then all of a sudden 25% capacity. It changes what you do, and you have to put yourself in a position to where you can still hold to your premise and mission, but be flexible with the environment around you. That affords you the best opportunity to care for people at a high level.
Good question. Cody?
Okay, so from what I've gathered, you both have missions of trying to keep your clients at an at-home, kind of safe and happy place at this time in their life. And for me, I've experienced and spent a lot of hours in nursing homes, and usually I leave there feeling very sad for many of the patients because I don't see their quality of life being at the highest capability it should. And so I was just curious, as a marketer, if you feel any conflict of interest, almost advertising, leaving brochures, or connecting with different nursing homes to also show that you have this, this business as another way for these patients. I know once you enter a nursing home, it's really hard to leave one, but I do see like having an end-of-life doula would be a very beneficial part in a lot of their lives. So I didn't know if you've experienced or have thought of trying to have kind of a promotional side in nursing homes.
I can speak to that. I've already have been provided services to people in the nursing home, and some of that was under the auspices of hospice that I could do that. I've also had some people pay for me to, one lady, her family got together and paid as a Christmas gift for me to go in and do life review and legacy work for their person who was in a nursing home. So, I mean, I've already done some of that, and I would love to do more. But right now in the nursing homes, because of the pandemic, that really has put a squash on things. They just don't let anybody come in the doors.
I work in nursing homes right now as it is, and I've worked in several facilities on many different care levels. And within each environment, there's a psychology, there's a platform, there's an environment that they have to work within in order to make it work. So there is the high quality care or quality care definition is going to change from environment to environment and it has to be respected. The one you find in nursing homes is your staff to resident ratio is significantly different. And right now with the pandemic, us caregivers are put in a position that we never ought to be in some cases. And that's where we become the liaison of family and friend connection. And it's one of the most difficult things I've ever experienced in my life. I'll give you an example. One gentleman, very hard of hearing, would meet his kids at the window. And so they would write on a marker board when it was really cold. And they were shivering outside, and he would read, and he'd scream through the window. But sometimes he couldn't convey that, so I had the marker board there. And at the end, it was the first day I met him, he turned to me and said, "Thank you." And I wrote on the board, "No, thank you. It's an honor to take care of you and your family on the other side of the window." And he started crying. The daughter looked at him deeply concerned, as she should be, because she saw her dad crying. So I turned the board to her. That crying turned into a moment of joy, because that was the only way we could make that connection happen. What a home health care setting does is it provides you that opportunity of engagement. There is a higher risk, because we can't create in a home setting the petri dish that, say, a Fosse promotes. But we can give them quality and protect the quantity as best we can through safety measures. And that's one of the differences. It's not about throwing dirt. It's about providing care at the highest level we can, regardless of the environment.
Good question, Cody. Thank you. Do we have more from social?
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Kate wants to know, can you talk about how you price your services?
And on a private pay basis, I thought at one point home health care would be, say, less expensive than what a facility type of thing is, and it's just not possible. If you can't take care of your employees and offer them a living or a little bit higher wage, you're going to be challenged at finding quality caregivers that are willing to engage people in some of these examples that I just explained. Even if you go, say, at the rate that our federal government is talking about at $15 a day, or $15 an hour, if you take that times 24, the math gets into there. I want to be able to provide a higher opportunity so I can attract the type of employees, a higher quality, because we have a large pool in medical. And I want to limit my overhead expenses so I can keep that lower than some of the higher price home health agencies out there. But you're threading a needle. It's a difficult thing. I think I have a pretty good idea on how to accomplish that, but it's tight, it's close, because some of the things I'm learning is how much unemployment costs and how much workman's comp costs and those type of things. All of a sudden that margin gets really tight. So it's a learning process, but we're going to learn it in the most frugal way possible to make it successful for the residents we take care of.
And as far as I'm concerned, I did a lot of research to see, in terms of how much doula services are going for. Many people offer packages like, we'll do all of this for this one price, which can be very spendy. What I did is I have offered various different services that I can do so people can pick and choose what it is that they're interested in about what I do so that I can focus on that. And also in terms of pricing, that was difficult. I know a lot of doulas out there charge a whole lot more than I do. But I just look at North Dakotans in general. We're frugal people. Nobody, even if you have lots of money, they don't want to spend it, and so on. So I come at a price that is much more reasonable for the North Dakota culture, I think, in terms of what people will be willing to spend.
Sean, your question?
Of course. I'm glad you brought up the whole North Dakota thing because that's the direction my question so this is awesome for those of us who live in Bismarck to have services like that here. So I'm wondering, are there doulas? Do you know, one, do you offer your services outside of Bismarck? Because I know a lot of that takes you being physically present, but I don't know if your willingness to travel, maybe for some of the legacy projects or some of those things. And then do you know how prevalent these types of services are across our state? Because I'm thinking more about our more rural, smaller communities.
Right. These services aren't prevalent in North Dakota at all. It's pretty much out there around us, but not in North Dakota. I think I did see one or two other people certified in Fargo. And so, yes, and I have provided these services to people in the rural areas as well. I have to consider the time and the cost and what it is that they're wanting and how much I would need to be available to them.
Currently, my certificate or licensure through the Secretary of State is for B.L.I.N.K in Morton County. We wanted to keep it small on purpose and grow appropriately, and we can expand to every county into the state, and it's not going to cost us any more money. As long as the nice thing about it is that I can hire from every community in the state of North Dakota as well. If I got to the point to where we expanded into other states, as long as I was certified through their Secretary of State, I can do the same thing and duplicate through that smaller or as large as you want. Right now, B.L.I.N.K and Morton County are big counties. They're close in some respects, but they're not close, and our weather can make it a challenge as well. But the nice thing about taxes and some of the different write-offs, we can provide our employees something through per diems that, say, a nursing home setting couldn't. And that does afford us some opportunities as well as far as employee retention and minimizing our costs.
More from social.
No, this is just for me.
Oh, great.
So we talk a lot about entrepreneurs. You got to make time for yourself. You've got to reset at some point. You've got to find that work-life balance in a way. How do you do it? Because I can imagine that this can be a heavy weight to carry. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
No, it sure can. It sure can. And you do have to make time for self-care. You really do. Right now, I haven't felt a lot of pressure working as a nurse. I'm a help-out nurse, so I can call my hours and help out as much or as little as I need to. And I make also my doula work more of a priority. So that really hasn't grown a great deal at this point. That has certainly been one of the challenges, is trying to see or trying to figure out how to get out there.
For me, well, if you ask Tyler, I do a lot of citizen advocacy, this as well as maintaining my current occupation until I can grow this large enough. I am 5 days a week at Verge Fitness consistently. I'm a father. I love being a dad. We adopted 2 amazing kids. So just those moments that I get to share with them are blessed moments. But being in a unique position to where you can care for people at the highest possible level, that is very, I gain as much as they do in many cases. I have so many significant memories. It warms the heart to be afforded the opportunity to provide that care. I enjoy several activities, but caring for other, there is no greater honor to have the skill set in order to do that day in and day out.
I just had a quick question. For Colette, you mentioned that, and I think rightfully so, that yours is a topic that's easier not to talk about. And I think you have a really unique perspective. What are your suggestions, tips, tricks to start that conversation broadly in the community? What would you tell all of these people? What's that first step to starting to talk about that?
You read my mind, Evan. That was my question.
That is a hard question. I guess the first step really is about attracting people to the topic in where they themselves would find themselves at. Many of us have older parents who are at that place where we need to consider death and dying. We also, I'm also out there trying to educate the community, not just on end-of-life doula stuff, but just on death and dying in general. Also on preparing ourselves with advanced directives, and I've done in-services and education on that so that we're all prepared. Because like I said, we all think we have time, and maybe not. We don't know from day in and to day out. So I think I try to appeal to the community where they may find themselves. And I don't know if that makes sense, but I think all of us, there's no easy way out of this life. We're all in the same boat. We're all going to die at some point. But I also try not to focus so much even just on the death, but life. About really truly living life and living your passions and living your with your family and those things that just really drive you. That's what death does. By talking about that and facing that, it really helps us create the legacy that we are living now. Helps us to realize that everything that we are doing now is creating a legacy about us. So,
Carpe diem.
I want to answer that too, if I could. We are alive for a reason. We have purpose. And that purpose doesn't only exist when we're healthy. It exists when we decline for whatever reason it may be, right up until those last days. There is so many moments of beautiful things that happen even in that decline if we open ourselves up to experience it. It is about the living. It's not about the passing. We are a product of every one of our memories, whether it's in this life or the next.
Thank you. Evan, do you want to handle the last question?
Actually, I asked your question, so I think maybe I'll let you do it. But first, I wanted to do, since I've got the mic, a quick shout out to Janelle Hartford, who talked about her new business, Love Always Floral. For anybody that doesn't know, Janelle actually carried the 1 Million Cups torch for quite a long time and helped make it what it is today. So I just want to, it's nice to have her here today. Thank you, Janelle.
I agree. Okay, so final question. This is something we ask all of our presenters. What can we, as the 1 Million Cups community, do to help you both succeed?
well, what I could say is feedback. As entrepreneurs, you understand the marketing side aspect of things, and you understand how to reach the masses, which I have a little bit of experience in, but not a great deal. Also, I think by attending any of the things that I do in the community, any types of education or death cafes, and see that it isn't such a heavy topic. I mean, it can be, and it is when you're in the moment. But when you have community that gathers and talks about it, it has a way of dispelling a lot of fears that we have about death and dying. And so I would say yes, the feedback and attending and spread the word.
A lot of what she said also applies to what we do, spreading the word. Marianne's example that I shared with you as far as her letter and things, the ability. What kind of care would you want for a loved one if it was somebody in your house? Can we meet that need? Do you want to explore that option and see how high a level they can live their life as you engage with them? As you share that with one another, the blessings will take care of themselves, and we're in a position to offer that to anybody.
Thank you both for being here and for sharing your stories with us today. Let's give them a hand. That's a wrap for us. We'll see you back here next week. Adam's going to change the slide because I don't have the clicker down here. But we'll be back here 9 a.m. next week. We'll hopefully see you at lunch today at the Food Co-op for our last Wednesday lunch. Lucid is on the docket for next week, followed by Downtown Developers and then SBDC Day. So mark your calendars, plan to join us, whether you're in person or virtual, and we'll see you then.